Now let's talk about the ending. There was some kind of beef or drama going around with the producers and Prajakta. You don't see me watching Dora the Explorer and then making a review about why is it so boring. Well, maybe because it wasn't made for me. You still see the character's face really well. That's what they do with Zooey Deschanel in New Girl. Hi everyone, my name is Medha Aurora, and today I am so excited because we're going to be talking about Mismatched Season 3. If you're looking for a phenomenal Oscar-worthy TV show, you're not gonna find that in Mismatched. But if you're looking for a warm, fuzzy, coming-of-age drama with beautiful music, genuinely good acting, and some surface-level drama, you'll find that in Mismatched. I could not start this review without talking about all of the other reviews I've seen posted on YouTube and Instagram. And one thing that I have to say is for the genre in which it exists in, which is this coming-of-age, sappy kind of show, it's genuinely not bad. It's actually quite good. I'd like you to question if you're the target demographic for it. No hate to those that aren't liking the show, but when I'm seeing 30-year-old men reviewing the show, I just have to say, like, maybe it wasn't made for you. You don't see me watching Dora the Explorer and then making a review about why is it so boring. Well, maybe because it wasn't made for me. That's all I'm gonna say. So Mismatched is a Netflix TV show that's based in India. It's a combination of Hindi and English. It's based on a novel by Sandhya Menon called When Dimple Met Rishi. So in this review, I'm going to be talking about all of the things that I loved, answering some of your questions, and also telling you some places where I genuinely think they could have improved. So number one, let's talk about the soundtrack. One thing that Mismatched has never gotten wrong throughout all of the seasons is the beautiful soundtrack. The song that stood out in season 2 is Aise Kyun, and the song that stands out in season 3 is Ishq Hai. They're both beautiful, beautiful pieces of music. And I think in both times, they do the music video total justice. In this one, I loved how they had this intertwine of this Mughal love story. They had them both in costumes, and I think that was just a really nice touch. Now let's talk about Prajakta Koli, also known as mostlysane on her social media channels. She's a prime example of content creator turned actor. She's been in a few other movies and TV shows, but I think Mismatched is the first time where she's been given a big lead. She was also in Jug Jug Jio. She's gotten a lot of hate this year, especially after her interview with Pariniti Chopra.
And I really related to you because मैं जितनी बारी भी movies देखती हूँ ना मुझे लगता है I don't look like any of them. Like they're stunning, they're gorgeous, but for some reason I don't see anyone on screen feel like
This is me.
Yeah, but I looked at you in I was like,
That's great.
I said, hey, now this is someone that I can relate to.
Yeah.
And be like, okay, मैं ऐसी दिख सकती हूँ. या फिर like ये मेरे zone में है.
Chopra. And she gets a lot of hate on her Instagram reels because people are kind of questioning where her brand has gone. Personally, I really love her. I think she's authentic and pretty genuine. Her acting improvement from season 1 to season 3 is pretty remarkable as well. I think a really big reason she does well in Mismatched is because her character, Dimple, is very similar to how she is in real life. And if you watch some of the press interviews, you'll hear castmates of her kind of say the same thing, and that she's not really acting. Dimple is very much her personality.
You've always been Dimple. This doesn't feel like.
I'd say in season 1 and season 2, she never had to play any very intense emotions, but that changes in season 3. For me personally, in terms of acting, the star of the show is, I don't know how to say her name. Okay, I'll put it on the screen. I think it's Shiti Jo. She plays Dimple's mom. She's phenomenal. Every single time she comes on screen, she either makes me laugh or cry or something in between. I think she's such a natural actor. She's so sparky. She has so much energy. Even if she has one dialogue, you can tell that she's completely present, and I don't think she's gotten enough credit for this role. I also do have to say Rohit Saraf, if you've watched him in Ludo or any of his other projects, you know that he's a good actor. I think in this project, you can tell that he's an even more phenomenal actor because even given some really cheesy, cringe-worthy writing, that's really hard to listen to as like a Gen Z. A lot of the filmy dialogues he says, or a lot of the pet names, as Gen Z, it's so cringy to listen to, but he in his own way makes it sound charming and natural, and I think that's the sign of a good actor. I think the fact that he's handsome doesn't make it any harder for him. I think also the fact that when Rohit Saraf acts, he fully suspends you in his belief, so there's not a moment where he's acting where you think for a second, oh, is that Rohit? You're kind of like fully immersed in the fact that he's Rishi. I do have to ask, if while they were filming, there was some kind of beef or drama going around with the producers and Prajakta, because I feel like they kind of did her dirty in this season. I think Dimple is this feminist character that a lot of us can relate to, in the sense that Dimple would be the first one in her generation who has the luxury of choice between a relationship and her career. And I think a lot of girls who are in my generation, so my generation is Dimple's generation, is because you've seen society and you've been socially conditioned to choose love over career time and time again. Every movie tells us the same thing, and every one of her moms and our grandmoms are kind of seeing the same story. We've almost gone the other extreme when choosing career over love. And I think Dimple, when she gets a little older in this hypothetical world, will be able to balance those two things. But I think right now she's 21, she went through a traumatic event, and she's struggling to balance this idea of a successful career in her idea and this idea of love. I do question whether she even loves Rishi, but I'll get to that later on. So back to my point. Do the producers hate Prajakta? Why would they do this to her? Number one, the bangs. Maybe this is a controversial opinion, but I really don't think those bangs look good on her. It completely covers her face, so it's really hard to see the emotions that she's putting on screen. You cannot see her acting or what her expressions are. The reason number two why I think they don't like her is the glare that is on her glasses. So let me show you something. When I film, I'm not wearing my glasses because although they're anti-reflective, you can see quite a lot of glare from the lighting that's coming at me. And now imagine we're on a film set and there's a light on this end and a light on this end, and maybe you're filming outdoors, so there's the sun. And what keeps on happening in the show is there's so much glare on her glasses that you can't even see her face. Like, it's fully clouded over you. I cannot see her face or her expressions at all. Pair that with the bangs on her face, and now half of her face is hidden and I don't know what she's doing and I can't even see her. So I kind of question, why it was necessary? Why did they do that to her? Because I'd love to see more of her face in the show. So you might be wondering, like, why is this different from other shows? So there's two things. When TV shows film characters with glasses, either they will pop the lenses of the glasses out, so it's only a frame, you kind of don't question it, and then you have no glare, so you can still see the character's face really well. That's what they do with Zooey Deschanel in New Girl. Another thing that they do more recently is fully anti-glare glasses. You don't see any reflection of the light. They do use these in TV shows. You'll see them in a lot of medical dramas, and they work. And so why didn't they have them for her? Or like, why couldn't they get them made in her prescription if she wears glasses in real life? That was really disappointing for me. I was really frustrated in those scenes. Number three, I feel like she was really written for us to hate her. Like, a lot of the things that she does are just very unlikable, and there are places where she could have been redeemed, but like they don't, and it's kind of in the writing. I understand that she's not very cutesy and loving in the same way that Rishi is towards her in this filmy Bollywood way, but she isn't loving him in her own way either. I don't see how she shows him love or even loves him. Now, I can't go on any further without talking about Vinny in the show, who's played by an actor named Asas Channa. And you might be watching Mismatched and thinking, wow, this girl looks really familiar. Maybe because she is the little boy from Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna. Can we have a moment of silence? I think their on-screen chemistry was absolutely phenomenal. They were a really cute subplot to watch, and I hate that she disappeared for a few episodes because I would have loved to see more of that. The actor that plays Tarukrena is a really phenomenal actor, and I loved seeing him playing Anmol and Vinny on screen. I loved all of their scenes. I think they had phenomenal chemistry. I actually wish there was more of them. So what I'm gonna say next is no hate to Tarukrena, but I'm a strong believer that disabled characters should be played by disabled actors. There is no shortage of disabled actors that exist out there. It just takes a little bit more effort on casting end. It's frustrating because that's a story that they can tell with a lot of authenticity, but they're not often cast. To play devil's advocate for a second, an actor's job is also to tell stories that they haven't personally lived through. That's what every actor is constantly doing. So as long as they do that with the right intentions and authenticity, it should be okay. So for example, the actor who plays Harsh isn't an NRI in real life. He's just putting on an American accent, which he does a phenomenal job at. But where these two situations differ is that there are a lot of talented actors out there that are wheelchair users, and the roles for them already are quite few and far in between. So when one comes up and it's given to a non-disabled actor, that takes away their opportunity to pursue that career even more than it already is. Also, imagine being a wheelchair user watching the show, connecting to and resonating with Anmol's story, with his struggle, and then Googling the actor and seeing all of the press interviews later and all of the press junkets and all the Netflix, YouTube videos that come out about the show, only to find out that he's fully abled and can walk. And I can imagine that would be really heartbreaking for someone and doesn't achieve the representation that they're trying to achieve. Now let's talk about the ending. In the end of the show, Prajakta redoes her app. What really frustrated me about her pitch and Technovate was the same app that she started with when she was struggling with grief is the same pitch she gave us at the end of the show. Like, she doesn't actually change anything about the app, but it suddenly becomes acceptable because a little bit more time has passed since her father's passing. And like, the people around her think she's a little bit more mentally stable to be able to be giving that pitch. But like, I think there was a really clear opportunity for the story writers to change something about the app, something clear. Like, for example, it could be a place where you can store memories for a loved one, or something else techie about helping people deal with the grief of loved ones, like for example the counseling aspect. But the pitch that she gave at Technovate was just the same idea she had before. That was really concerning and honestly kind of creepy. The show leaves us on an open ending with both of them taking their engagement rings off. Rishi saying goodbye, future wife. She's saying I love you. He says I love you more. But she does add in there, don't throw away the rings, just keep them for now. Now, obviously the reason why they kept it open-ended is because they're unsure whether season 4 is going to be renewed by Netflix or not, so they do want to leave that opportunity for the storyline of Dimple and Rishi to continue. I think it's supposed to be open for interpretation. The way I see it is they're not breaking up as a couple, but they are breaking up their engagement. Look, I know Dimple's not a very likable character, but if you think about it, her father just died. That's a lot for a 21-year-old girl to handle. I think she feels rushed and pressured into this engagement because of her mom, kind of getting her feet on the ground, dealing with grief and finding love in her career again. I think what's really heartbreaking throughout the show is we can see how much Rishi loves Dimple, and throughout the show it just really doesn't feel like Dimple reciprocates any of that love. At the beginning she's depressed, and then there's a period of time where she's finally feeling better, and all we see is that she's jealous for Rishi and his career development because she doesn't have it at the time, instead of feeling happy for him, which is what someone in love would be. And then she's depressed again because she's dealing with grief. But like, I would just have loved to see her showing some kind of selfless acts of love towards Rishi, even if it's in her own way, but we didn't really even see that throughout the show. You know, she doesn't come to Hyderabad to visit him, even though he literally begs her to, offers to help her get enrolled in a college, offers to support her financially while she's there. And at some point, like, don't you want to be with the person that you've been long distance with for 3 years? Couldn't wrap my head around that. Now, to wrap this review up, I'm going to be reviewing some of the reviews I've seen of Mismatched season 3. One thing that I've read is that there's a lot of half-done storylines that are wrapped up with a perfect bow without them being explored, and a lot of time spent on tech subplots that weren't that interesting when that time could have been spent exploring those side character subplots. So for example, they have this subplot with young adults experiencing problems. That's Rishi and Dimple and their lack of connection, Anmol and Vinny, and one half of the relationship being disabled and how to navigate that. And I actually do agree with that. So they don't really touch on it at all, but at the end of the song and the montage, like, both of those such situations are wrapped up with a nice bow. But I think the one thing that they did show is like communication is the answer to all of their problems. I feel like they wanted to talk about young adults, but it was like too taboo of a topic for them to get into too much, and that is something that I wish they had explored a little further. I think young adults could really benefit from that kind of being told in these kinds of TV shows. Another plot hole that doesn't really make sense or is a bit inconsistent is even after Rith receives love and acceptance from his peers, he still wants to hack into and destroy this program that's so valuable to the people that have offered him nothing but love and acceptance and community. And that's what he's searching for in Betterverse. He has it in real life, and then he's still willing to destroy the lives of the people who are giving it to him. It seems like inconsistent character development and a villain being a villain for the sake of it. Another thing that really makes me sad is Rishi loves Dimple, That's all his character gets. The whole season is like, your being is that you love Dimple and also you're good at your job. We don't see any in-depth character development coming from Rishi in this season, except for him being a romantic, until the very last scene where he says, maybe I wasn't made for the tech world. Maybe I should continue pursuing my artistic passions. And I was like, where is this coming from? And why is it coming in the very last scene of the season when that was such a big part of who Rishi was? Why did we not see any of that in him the whole season? Because he was a cartoonist. Until he said it, I even forgot that was a big part of his personality. I feel like they kind of stripped him down to a caricature of a filmy romantic boy for Dimple. One more thing that I've seen in the reviews is this desire to see more of a love story between Sid and Zenith. But then again, I do question, you know, what's the target demographic of this show? Is it Sid and Zenith's age? Most likely not. I love them. I think, like, I absolutely love their storyline. I'd even be happy to see a spin-off show with them, but it's just not the demographic. Overall, look, if you're looking for a warm-hearted, fuzzy, coming-of-age drama that you can binge, you're really gonna like this show, and I really hope you liked it. I love it. I'm gonna be listening to the soundtrack for weeks to come. If you're looking for a phenomenal piece of film, it's not that, but I don't even think it was trying to be that. So you can't even blame it. If you like this video, if you resonate with any of my thoughts or my feelings, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram and TikTok, and leave a comment below if you like Dimple in the show, if you've watched the show, and if you plan on watching it. Okay, until next time, bye, love you.